The scorching Libyan sun beat down on the young Hannibal. He was just a boy, but the desert was his playground. It was a harsh teacher, but it bred resilience. It bred strength. He was a Carthaginian, born in a city that rivaled Rome itself. Carthage, with its mighty fleet and trade routes, cast a long shadow, but it was a shadow soon to be consumed by the rising sun of Rome. Hannibal's family was steeped in the purple of royalty, their veins flowing with ambition and a burning desire for vengeance. His father, Hamilcar Barca, was no mere general. He was a lion of Carthage, a man who instilled in his son a deep hatred for the burgeoning Roman Republic. Rome, with its legions and its lust for conquest, represented everything Hannibal would come to despise. Even as a child, Hannibal displayed a keen intellect and a thirst for knowledge that belied his tender years. He devoured scrolls on military strategy and history, his mind becoming a weapon as sharp as any sword. He trained with the soldiers, learning the deadly dance of warfare. He rode horses with a natural grace that spoke of a destiny intertwined with the battlefield. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the desert sands, Hamilcar led his son to a sacred altar. The flames danced, reflecting in Hannibal's wide, intelligent eyes. This was no ordinary night. It was the night Hannibal would pledge his life to a single, all-consuming purpose, the destruction of Rome. Hamilcar, his voice a gravelly rumble, spoke of Roman treachery, of their insatiable hunger for power. He spoke of the humiliation Carthage had suffered at the hands of these arrogant upstarts. He dipped his hand in the blood of a sacrificial animal, a crimson stain against his weathered skin, and held it out to his son. "Swear," Hamilcar commanded, his voice echoing in the stillness of the night, "that you shall never be a friend to Rome. Swear that you will devote your life to her destruction. Swear that you will avenge the wrongs they have inflicted upon Carthage." Hannibal, barely a man, raised his own hand, his eyes burning with a fire that would consume the known world. "I swear," he vowed, his voice strong and steady, and thus the fate of Rome was sealed. The Iberian Peninsula, a land of rugged mountains and fertile valleys, became Hannibal's training ground. He fought alongside his father, the clang of steel a constant symphony, the stench of blood and sweat a familiar perfume. He learned the art of siegecraft, the brutal efficiency of the sword, the cunning strategies that could turn the tide of battle. Hannibal, a quick study, impressed even the most seasoned veterans. He possessed an uncanny ability to assess the battlefield, to anticipate his enemy's moves as if reading from a scroll. He was fearless in battle, a whirlwind of fury and precision, his name whispered in hushed tones by both friend and foe. But it wasn't just military prowess that set Hannibal apart. He possessed a charisma, a magnetism that drew men to his banner. He treated his soldiers with respect, sharing their hardships and celebrating their victories. He understood that loyalty, once earned, was a weapon more powerful than any blade. Fate, however, is a fickle mistress. Hamilcar, the Lion of Carthage, fell in battle, his roar silenced forever. The mantle of leadership fell upon Hannibal's brother-in-law, Hasdrubal the Fair. Hannibal, though still young, served as his trusted lieutenant, his star continuing to rise. But tragedy struck again when Hasdrubal was assassinated, leaving a void in the Carthaginian command. The army, recognizing the fire and brilliance in Hannibal's eyes, turned to him. At the age of 26, he was unanimously elected commander-in-chief of the Carthaginian forces. The weight of Carthage, of his father's legacy, of his own burning ambition, rested heavily upon his shoulders. Yet, he did not falter. He embraced his destiny with the same unwavering determination he had shown since he was a boy in the desert. The time had come to fulfill his oath. The time had come to march on Rome. The Roman Senate, complacent in their belief that the Alps were an insurmountable barrier, scoffed at the rumors of a Carthaginian army on the move. They would soon learn the folly of underestimating Hannibal Barca. The journey was fraught with peril. The towering peaks of the Alps, shrouded in mist and snow, seemed to claw at the heavens. The treacherous paths, barely wide enough for a single man, let alone an army, tested the limits of endurance. Men and animals succumbed to the cold, their bodies swallowed by the unforgiving landscape. Hannibal, however, remained undeterred. He rallied his troops, his voice a beacon of hope amidst the howling winds. He coaxed, cajoled, and commanded, his spirit as unyielding as the mountains themselves. And then, after 15 grueling days, they emerged from the Alps, a ragged but unbroken force, ready to unleash havoc upon the unsuspecting Romans. The Romans, caught completely off guard, found themselves facing a whirlwind of Carthaginian fury. At Trebia, Hannibal lured the Roman legions into a deadly trap, the icy waters of the river running red with the blood of his enemies. At Lake Trasimene, he ambushed a Roman army led by the consul Gaius Flaminius, crushing them in a stunning display of tactical brilliance. Hannibal's victories sent shockwaves through the Roman Republic. Panic gripped the streets of Rome as news of each defeat reached the city. The very foundations of their world seemed to be crumbling. But it was at Cannae that Hannibal would orchestrate his masterpiece. Facing a larger Roman force, he employed a brilliant tactical maneuver, encircling the enemy and then unleashing his veteran troops in a devastating pincer movement. The Roman army, caught in a vice, was annihilated. Cannae was more than a victory. It was a massacre, a testament to Hannibal's military genius. Despite his string of stunning victories, Hannibal faced a daunting challenge. Rome itself, the city, protected by its formidable walls and defended by a resolute populace, seemed impregnable. Hannibal, a master of siegecraft, understood the magnitude of the task before him. He had hoped that his victories would spark a rebellion amongst Rome's Italian allies. He had miscalculated. Rome, though bloodied and battered, refused to break. Their spirit, forged in centuries of warfare, remained unbroken. Years turned into a stalemate. Hannibal, unable to deliver the final blow, roamed Italy, a constant thorn in Rome's side. He had won every battle, yet the war seemed as far away as ever. He had terrified Rome, but he had not broken her. The call to return to Carthage finally came. A new Roman general, Publius Cornelius Scipio, later known as Scipio Africanus, had landed in North Africa, threatening Carthage itself. Hannibal, leaving a trail of victories but no final triumph, sailed back across the Mediterranean. The Battle of Zama, fought on the plains of North Africa, would be the final confrontation between these two titans of war. Hannibal, outmaneuvered and outfought by Scipio, tasted defeat for the first time. Carthage, once a mighty empire, was brought to its knees. Hannibal, defeated but not broken, escaped the battlefield, his name forever etched in the annals of history. Hannibal Barca, the desert child who had sworn vengeance against Rome, died in exile years later. He had failed to achieve his ultimate goal, but his impact on history was undeniable. He had marched an army across the Alps, a feat considered impossible. He had outmaneuvered and outfought the Roman legions time and again, becoming a legend whispered in hushed tones by generations of soldiers. Hannibal's story is a testament to the human spirit's resilience, to the power of ambition, and to the enduring allure of military genius. He may have died in exile, but his name, like the echoes of his elephant's footsteps across the Alps, continues to resonate through the ages. He is remembered as one of the greatest military commanders in history, a man who challenged the might of Rome and forever changed the course of Western civilization.